Hello and welcome to a quick tutorial of the 526 post system. In Core, we have the system that we call the post system. You will find it on the left menu under posts and then posts again. You can think of this post system as an article management system, and that is what it is. There are a few places in a website or web system that we may want to utilize the concept of an article. And this is the engine that drives all three of those things in Core. We use the term article pretty loosely. It can be a very short piece of content. It can be a very long piece of content. It can have anything a website can have, any HTML content, so text, images, things like embedded videos and other media. And there are three places we use articles in Core. All articles are in the post system, and this is the way we use them. The first is for internal communications. So when you go to your dashboard, you will see a list of posts. That is known as your feed. Those are the posts that have been sent or created for your role. And everyone may see a little bit different of a feed. If you are upper management, for example, you may see a different feed than another person in another role in your organization. So that's number one. Number two, we use it as the blog engine. If you have a blog, or you may not call it a blog, some kind of article system on your website, this is the engine that drives it. The third area is as a knowledge base. So knowledge bases tend to have articles, and those articles have categories and content and sometimes a hierarchy. So that is all possible simultaneously using the post system. And you can mix and match all three of those cases by just selecting a few different options when you're creating your posts. So that's a quick intro. I will talk about how to create a post now. So to create a post, you're going to navigate to the index and you're going to click this green button on the right-hand side of the screen for new posts. I should note here that if you don't see some of these options, this system to create and edit posts does require a permission. The permission it requires is post admin. So if you don't see this, have your administrator grant you the post admin right. And that will allow you to click and see all the buttons and controls that I'm about to show you. So we're going to go to new post. And I talked about the three different areas. I'm going to create an internal communication post, the kind of most basic version of our article. There are three types: image, video, and text. These will appear at the top of the post if you choose image or video. Text is really what it sounds like. It's just text content, although you can embed images within the text if you like. For image and video, that means at the top of the post there will be either a big image or a big video. Those are useful if you have some kind of diagram or you just want to add some character to the post and show an image that's related to it, like you might see on a blog where they have like a smiling child if you're talking about childcare or something like that. The video, you'll need to put videos on Vimeo or YouTube to use this. It'll note that here. If you try to use other URLs, it probably won't work. So we do support Vimeo and YouTube. Those videos do not need to be public. They can be unlisted if they're internal things you don't want, indexed on YouTube's search engine. So we're going to do an image post. That's the most common I have found. So you can start with the image. I'm going to pick one that we have already in the system. I'm going to select it with the little green border, and I'm going to choose medium as the size. And it'll tell me one image selected, so that's great. I'm going to call this test post. Very creative. For the abstract, you can give it a little bit of a description. I'm going to steal content from lipsum.com If you've ever looked at a website that's not real, you might see this Latin text. It's called lorem ipsum. It means basically that we're not saying anything in Latin. And I'm going to paste first into the content because that's, oops, did I not copy this? Copy and paste. So there's my content. And for an abstract, you don't have to put an abstract, but if you want to have a brief summary of what's in the content, if your content is long enough to warrant a summary, you can maybe take the first sentence or come up with your own shortened version of your content. My spell checker is going to go crazy because I'm typing in a dead language. Don't worry about that. And that's the content. We're done. You can set start and end dates for when this appears. If this is something you're announcing next week, for example, you can tell it that you want to put it up, on Monday. You may select any of the roles in the system to limit this post to. We default to staff member, which if you're watching this video, that's you, very likely. That means the users of the backend core. But if you want to limit it to, any of these roles, and you may have different roles in your system, we create them for you, on the fly. So you may have, upper management or director level or something like that you want to target. I'm going to leave it at staff member so everyone can see this. If you want to put this in a hierarchy of other posts, you can select a parent. That's really for kind of the option 3 use case that I had described. That's the knowledge base, so I'm going to leave that off for now. Categories, these need to be predefined. If you want to create a new category, you can do that here under post categories. The category is very simple. It's just a title and a short description if you want a short description. I'm going to put this under general nerd stuff. That's our category. You can check enabled if you want it to go live right away. If you are wanting to review this with your staff, you can leave that off and it won't go live immediately until you check that. Public, this will put it on the blog. That means that you want it on the public website. You can check that to make sure that the public can see this. You can also use this in tandem with the enabled or the start and end date to make sure that it doesn't go live right away. If it's a public thing you want to review. Likes enabled, you may not see this option. If we have turned this on in your core, you may see this, and checking it will let people kind of do like Facebook reactions to posts, like laugh at, there's a couple, cry, the same reactions you see in Facebook we have here. If you don't see this and you would like that feature enabled and you don't have it, let us know and we can turn that on in the configuration. Mini post is a post that cannot be expanded upon. So in our core, we don't have one of these listed, but if you wanted to show a post that did not have the read button, now you may only see the read button. I have the edit button because I am a post admin and I can see this edit button. Most people will just see the read button. If it's short enough that you want to say something very small, like Happy Friday, and you don't want them to, or there's no reason for them to read more if the whole thing fits in the little box here, you can check mini post and those buttons will be disabled. It will just show what you want to show and that's it. And then pinned. Pinned is if you want to force this post in the feed to the top, you would pin it in position 1. You can see this is a very old post. Oh, sorry. November 30th, yet it's in the position on the top of the page. That's because we've pinned it there in position 1. You can pin in any position. Your core may have more than just 3 posts showing. We can configure that in your core. You may have opted to put 6 or 8 posts. up on the core if it's kind of the primary use. So any position that exists, you can put a pin on. If you try to put a pin in one that doesn't exist, it just won't do anything because it can't find that position, but it won't break. So if you want to pin something for the top for the week, if there's something important happening this week in your business and you want to make sure that's the first thing people read every day for a certain number of time, you can pin it and then unpin it when it's no longer relevant or when you want to let it go. So that's a post. I'm going to go ahead and save this one so you can see what it looks like. And let's see here. And you'll see the post now that I have unpinned some of the stuff we had pinned there. You'll see it at the top. It's the most recent date. And if there's nothing else pinned and the category is showable here and you have the role that is able to see it, it will be the first one you see. And you can click to read it. And it'll show like that, meaning pretty much nothing because it's in Latin. So that is the basics of creating a post. And I want to show you a couple of advanced features and things that I touched on, but I didn't really explain in the beginning. So if you are using this as a knowledge base, or for some reason you want a category of your post not to appear in the feed. If you're documenting a system or writing a tutorial, you may not want it to show up like it is now in the chronological feed that your users see. So if it's a knowledge base article, you just want to put it in its category, put it in its hierarchy, and let people find it when they are searching for that thing. And the way you handle that is under the categories. So we recommend that you separate your categories by purpose. You may have 3 categories on your blog. You may have latest news and in the media or whatever your use case is. You use those categories for your blog, and then you would set separate categories for your knowledge base. So I'm going to turn off the feed for our general nerd stuff category. And that's really easy to do. You just click edit, exclude from dashboard. That is the way to exclude this feed from, so this article, I should say, from showing in the chronological feed. And while I'm in here, this is also the way to categorize and hierarchy your post categories. So if you have a category that is a subcategory of something else, you can do that in here. And you can have as many levels of categories as you'd like. So if you're organizing a knowledge base and you have customer articles as a broad category, and then you have a specific article on how to log into this system, for example, or how to do something in your day-to-day, you might choose your customer articles as the broad category and then something specific for this group of articles about fixing a carburetor or whatever the case may be. So you can set that here. And you just go into each category and set, and then the hierarchy is created automatically. And speaking of hierarchy, I just explained the category hierarchy. There is a post hierarchy too. So if you have posts that you'd like to serve as parents to other posts, for example, if you have a long topic that has multiple articles and you have a single article that is the introduction to those articles. So you would have intro and then a deep dive, for example. You may set posts as each other's parent to achieve a similar structure. And I'll show you that's done here in our core. If you do choose post article hierarchy, the hierarchy will show on the right-hand side as you're reading. So it shows you where you are in the hierarchy and what is around you in the hierarchy. This one shows the entire hierarchy. We've got a pretty extensive one here. You may want to limit this to be not so overwhelming, but the developer handbook is the parent post, and that's an introduction to our handbook. There's a category about code, and then one about integrations and modules, and inside those categories are many subcategories. And each of these is a post. So you can read the code introduction, you can read the developer handbook introduction, and then you can go in and read the individual pieces of those sections. The last thing I would like to cover is posting files. In the posts, I will find my test post here and edit it. And when it loads, I have chosen to do a very vanilla, boring post in here. You can paste images directly into here, just like you would in Microsoft Word or another editor. I'm going to just grab a piece of the interface here and paste it. It will take the file, format it properly, and put it in the middle of the post here. So you can do that. You can use this button here to also upload images from your computer. I'll go ahead and delete that so it doesn't show. And the other thing you may want to do, if you want to post a video inside the content versus setting it as a video post, you can do that too. So if you had a step-by-step tutorial and you had maybe a part 1, part 2, part 3 video, you can embed YouTube or other things right inside the content. You would just copy and paste the code that YouTube or Vimeo gives you here. And there is a third category that isn't in the menu that you may want to do, and that is posting files. So if you have a PDF or an Excel file or a Word document that you want to disseminate through this system, you can post a link from anywhere. We recommend using your resource system, and if you do not see the resources tab in your core, it's not because we don't want to give it to you, it's because it needs to be configured with a backend. And the backend needs to be OneDrive, Dropbox, or Google Drive. And if you configure one of those 3 providers in our configuration, this will appear. I have set up a test environment here. You'll see your home folder, which is going to be whatever folder you have designated in your cloud to be the resource manager's home. It doesn't have to be the root of the actual drive. You can pick a subfolder if you have a big messy structure and you just want one folder that's the resource manager. That's what I've done here. And then I've uploaded a test PDF to this folder. This is a recommended way to send a file into a post. And for a couple of reasons. Primarily, the reason is if you update it here, the link will update in your post. If you do it from, say, Dropbox has a way to copy the link directly from your Dropbox, or OneDrive has the same thing, so does Google Drive. You can share a link. We can't guarantee that link will stay where it is. If you were to delete that file and replace it with the exact same named file, it would actually be a different file. In our system, if you do this and copy the link and it's the same name, it will, sorry, I'm going to move my controls out of the way here so I can actually look at this. It will stay there. So I am going to click the little gear icon and get link to share. I'm going to copy the link here. Go back to my post, and move my controls again, and just paste that link in there. And it's going to be a pretty ugly thing here, but if you click the link button, highlight it and click the link button, you can say, put a friendly name here, it's going to default to the text that the actual link itself. You can put the URL for the link here and then replace the text with something friendly, like my, friendly, and I spell friendly correctly, file name. And then it'll show like this in the post rather than this long, unintelligible string. So that's our recommended way of sending files to people inside posts, is use your resource manager.